Welcome, friends, to our Gemini pre-full moon meditation, one of the most important festivals occurring today at the full moon of Gemini in the next 10 to 12 hours. Let's continue to build our healing garden as a group. At some point within the 12 hours prior to each full moon meeting, decay there, as he requested, turning our garden into a shrine of consecration and intending to offer our group as a chalice for the love and life of hierarchy and the Christ, to be poured in selfless service to humanity. Let's gather in our garden. But first, let us raise our consciousness into the head, as high in the head as we can. Now raise your consciousness upward through the astral body and to the mental body and to the soul by visualizing a lotus fully open, scintillating with light and pulsating like a living heart, as a symbol of your soul body. And now picture yourself in the center of your lotus, in the bluey white diamond of the jewel. Realizing that you, the soul, and you, the personality, are now one in consciousness. And from that point, definitely and consciously, assume the attitude of the observer as the soul, objective and detached. Observe your personality below and visualize your etheric body and see energy flowing freely up and down your etheric spine. And consciously throw soul energy down into the center at the base of the spine, using indigo blue light, the color of the ray of love. And now in your creative imagination, raise it slowly via the 5 centers up the etheric spine, then to the ajna, into the crown, and up into the soul body. And say the soul mantra, knowing who you really are. I am the soul. I am light divine. I am will. I am love. I am fixed design. And sound an Om as if you were the soul in full expression and in the presence of the ashram of hierarchy. In our mind's eye, we see right in the middle of our space of harmony, a lighthouse, standing tall and strong, shining light in all directions as a symbol of our strong and united group soul. As we gather there quietly, we hear a choir of birds fill the space with their clear, melodious notes, welcoming us to this unique space. A chorus of angelic voices sing a soft tune, accompanied by the sound of harps. Divas gently we feel the soft, cool grass beneath our feet and the fragrant aroma of the blooms permeate the still air around us. As we sit quietly around the lighthouse, we feel the gentle warmth of the rays of the sun bathing our bodies. And nearby, the soft babble of water, cascading gently as it hugs rocks and joyfully spills into the blue pool, reaches our ears. In the background, the breeze softly swishing through the tall, majestic trees chants a melodic lullaby. Around the lighthouse, we see a large quiet pool of crystal clear blue waters. And flowing from the pool, we see rivulets as we hear the gentle trickle of water. We also see 3 wider streams of golden water flowing steadily, and across them are curved wooden bridges. As we look around us, we see a pool where float lotuses of all colors in all stages of bloom. Some are in full bloom, revealing their gorgeous jewel, while others are just budding. and barely showing their true color, all reflecting their light in the healing waters. Just beyond the pool, a hidden path leads to a cozy and serene corner. A few chairs or a bench and a small fountain contain supercharged, vitalizing water, perfumed by a single floating lotus. They create the perfect spot for an informal sharing of one's difficulties or words of wisdom. So inhale the perfume of the flowers imbuing the air. Everything in this garden quivers with livingness. And if you know of anyone in need of healing, invite them in that beautiful corner. In our mind's eye, we follow a pathway which leads to flower beds. They are a riot of spring color, reds and creams and yellows and pinks of such vibrancy, winding their way like a gentle living stream among the trees. A row of violet flowers on either side of the meandering bed happily follows the path of the flowers as they release their subtle perfume. Butterflies with delicate and colorful wings, quivering with life, gently flutters around us, welcoming us to this harmonious space. And their iridescent wings catch the light and twinkle like diamonds in the air. While buzzing bees surf the open spaces from flower to flower, seeking pollen, which scintillates like bright golden pixie dust. This garden that we've just created is our garden, our group garden. But let's take a moment to add a little corner which has our individual touch. Add the colors, the unique features and flora of your own country that you'd like to blossom in this serene space. Let's now invite the presence and cooperation of the healing devas working under Christ and Master DK. They fill the space as they crowd around us, eager to pour their magnetism in service to humanity alongside us. We choose a spot in our garden where we sit in silence and we link our hearts and minds with a group. And we say the healer's mantra aloud together with purity of motive. Inspired by a loving heart, we offer ourselves for this work of healing, this offer we make as a group, and to the ones we seek to heal, our fellow men. We close our outer eyes, but we open our inner eyes as we endeavor to hold our mind unwaveringly in the group so light. And we know that Master DK too stands steady, pouring out upon us his love and strength, and endeavoring to lift us up into a higher state of consciousness. We are now ready and receptive to Master DK's radiating energy. The light of the lighthouse begins to shine brighter and brighter, intensifying gradually. And soon this light begins to take shape and a definite figure appears. And in our creative imagination, it is that of Master DK. So from the lighthouse, let's see waves of golden light stream through our group, irradiating the garden around us, enlivening it even more, imbuing our garden with a second ray of love and wisdom of Gemini. And feel the energy of unconditional love fill the space and our hearts. And let's listen intuitively to the Master's words and let them quench our thirst for loving understanding and touch our hearts to release the healing light of life. The life abundantly as the Christ promised. Gemini is the sign of relationship. It is the force which produces the changes needed for the evolution of the Christ consciousness at any particular point in time and space. Why is that so? because Gemini and its inherent secondary influence of love and wisdom controls every one of the pairs of opposites in the great wheel. The second ray of love wisdom pours through Gemini, hence love underlies the entire universe. God is love. This entire universe quivers with love and life. Making Gemini one of the most important of the 12 signs, and its influence lies behind every one of them. Gemini is the light of interplay between the two brothers. Its energies stimulate the consciousness within by shedding light and contrasting opposites, enabling discrimination between the two, in order eventually to facilitate their transmutation into unity, for the two must finally become the one. It is a fusion of consciousness of the polar opposites. Its function is to relate the two opposites, soul and body, and at a higher level still, Gemini relates soul and spirit. And the keynote for the disciple in Gemini is I recognize my other self, and in the waning of that self, I grow and glow. Just like the two allied brothers, Castor and Pollux, the power of the personality or the mortal brother lessens and wanes, while that of the soul or the immortal brother waxes and grows. On the soul plane, there is no separation in consciousness, no my soul or thy soul. There is only one soul. The one is all, and unity binds all souls, as group consciousness is inherent in the nature of the soul. Just like billions and billions of drops of water make up the vast oceans on earth, so too all the individual units of consciousness make up the universal soul. And Gemini brings this truth to the disciple's consciousness. As we gather in our garden on the inner plane, look around and see the whole group, and realize deeply that we are one soul. And sense the garden around you being imprinted by your realization. Absorb it and soak it up. Sirius is the source of Buddhi, of cosmic love, we are told. And Gemini forms a point of entrance of cosmic energy in our solar system from Sirius. And the energies from the sun Sirius are related to the love wisdom aspect or to the attractive power of the solar logos, to the soul of that great being. Realize that deeply. Gemini controls esoterically the heart of our solar system and thus controls the pulsation of life which sustains all that is. Gemini is therefore connected with the heart of the sun, the love of the whole. And this cosmic soul energy of love is related to hierarchy as a stream of energy coming from the sun Sirius enters directly into the hierarchy and carries with it the principle of Buddhi, of cosmic love. And this, in a mysterious way, is the principle found at the heart of every atom. And let this truth that Gemini is bringing us impress the cells of our brain. If hierarchy is the heart center of our planetary logos, represented as a lotus, then the Christ, being the head of hierarchy, is the jewel of that lotus. And Christ, being a Syrian initiate, is the embodiment of the cosmic ray of love and wisdom which flows through him and through the jewel of every atom. let's visualize the Christ, a Syrian initiate in the middle of our garden, enlivening the heart of every blade of grass, every flower, every tree, and every molecule of water and of air of our garden with the power of Buddhi, of cosmic love from Sirius. So let's visualize a triangle of stupendous spiritual beings. At the apex, the avatar of synthesis, the embodiment of power and spiritual will, implementing both light and love. The spirit of peace, the embodiment of love, establishing right human relations. And the Lord Buddha, the embodiment of love. And at the center of this stupendous triangle, the Christ influences, enlightens, inaugurating an era of right human relations and of right relation to the kingdom of God in the masses of men. At the Gemini of the full moon of 1945, Christ announced his decision to return. And the full moon of June 45 is a very significant day for the spiritual experience of the Christ. He announced his decision to return, and he took over his responsibilities as teacher and leader of the Aquarian age. He is the first to cover two zodiacal cycles, the Piscean and the Aquarian cycles. His Aquarian work will continue for another 2,500 years. So these three great entities stand behind the Christ, powering him. And as a result of Christ's decision made at the June of full moon of Gemini in 1945 to reappear on the physical plane, and his spiritual fusion with the will of God, the avatar of synthesis has become, for the time being, his close associate. And DK tells us this is an event of supreme and planetary importance. Who is the avatar of synthesis? He's a cosmic avatar, an extra-planetary being who has attained spiritual unfoldment beyond the solar system. His relationship and planned help date from the time of the pronouncing of the Great Invocation in 1945, and its use by men everywhere, and his function in unison with the energy of Christ is to generate spiritual will in humanity. That is, the will to good. planetary logoi go to these extra planetary beings for help when the invocative appeal of any planet is adequate. And so the avatar of synthesis is under instruction from Sanat Kumara to fortify and support the Christ. And the silent avatar will keep his eye upon him, his hand beneath him, and his heart in unison with his. There is also another pronounced alignment of a triangle also forming between the Lord of the world, linked through the Manu, representing Shambhala, the Christ, the Prince of Peace, representing hierarchy, and the Lord of civilization, Master R, representing humanity. This triangle of beings set up a potent note and vibration, invoking the spirit of peace. And why is the spirit of peace so important? Well, he is the spirit of equilibrium and is an extra-planetary being of terrific cosmic potency as well. He is destined to bring peace eventually upon earth through the expression of goodwill, which will bring about right human relations. And the spirit of peace and the forces of light illumine men's minds with love and light, which then precipitate on the mental plane. And the spirit of peace will vitalize the responsiveness of humanity via the influence of the hierarchy to the will of God, which has for basic intent the bringing of peace on earth. So both the Wesak and the festival of the Christ must be seen as one. At both full moons, we can expect spiritual energies emanating from the spirit of peace, the avatar of synthesis, and the forces of light from Shambhala via the Buddha to pour powerfully through the Christ to hierarchy. The Buddha at Wesak evokes in humanity the spirit of demand for the forces of illumination, will to good and life, which is then precipitated by the new group of world servers, and humanity, thus stimulated, asks for help. And at the June full moon, the Christ endeavors to gather into himself all that they have of appeal, prayer, and demand, voiced or unvoiced, and transmitting it into an act of spiritual intent to Shambhala. Behind the Christ, focusing with intensity today and preparing for a great act of spiritual cooperation at the time of the June full moon, stands the hierarchy. Together with him, they will invoke a group of spiritual forces, which, for lack of a better name, we will call the forces of reconstruction. At the Gemini full moon, the forces of reconstruction related to the first divine principle of will are released to bring about the rebuilding of the tangible world upon the new lines and to inspire nations with the theme of unity. They will affect the masses of men throughout the work of the men and women of goodwill. And at the Gemini full moon, the Christ, the Lord of love, presents the invocative appeal of the new group of world servers, men of goodwill, and the massed intent of the masses. He unifies, synthesizes, and integrates all these forces into one great and potent downpouring of spiritual energy, and acts as the distributing agent for the forces of enlightenment. And at this full moon, hierarchy under the guidance of the Christ lets loose this will to good upon humanity. Let's hear DK's recommendation as we hear his voice echoing in our garden. Therefore, my brothers, believe in the reality of the work to be done by these great spiritual potencies, invoked during the 3 full moons of April, May, and June. Go forth to the task of helping humanity, of establishing goodwill, of bringing about right human relations, and of restoring a true spiritual perspective with undaunted courage, sure faith, and the firm conviction that mankind is not alone. At the June full moon of 1945, the Christ announced his decision as final and irrevocable to reappear again on the physical plane. And the reward accorded to the Christ as he announced his decision was the permission, or rather the right, to use a certain great invocation never before granted. The right to use certain words of power or stanzas of direction is never lightly accorded, DK tells us, as it is one which hitherto had not been permitted to be used except by the most exalted spiritual beings. So the great invocation was used for the first time by Christ himself at the time of the full moon of June 1945, recognized as the full moon of the Christ. The Orthodox ruler of Gemini is Mercury, who, as the messenger of the gods or the divine intermediary, carries messages between the poles with speed and light. Let's see Mercury, with wings on his heels, illuminate our garden brightly with his light as the mediator between the three aspects of mind, carrying messages from the spiritual triad via the abstract mind to the soul, and from the soul to the lower mind. Through Venus, the esoteric ruler of Gemini, the disciple comes under the power of the mind, transmuted into wisdom through the instrumentality of love. So let's use our imagination to picture Venus, the goddess of intelligent love, walking with poise and grace through our garden, imbuing our garden with harmony, the inner fusion of heart and mind, of soul and personality, ushering an era of love wisdom, of brotherhood, of expressed brotherly relationships. And feel this union deeply with every fiber of your being. Heart and mind, soul and personality, fused. Into one. Gemini and Sagittarius are the only two constellations ruled by the Earth, our planetary logos. This fact is of major significance, creating an unusual situation in our solar system and a unique relation, as the Earth is the hierarchical ruler of Gemini and the esoteric ruler of Sagittarius, the polar opposite of Gemini. The cosmic line of force from Gemini to Sagittarius and from Sagittarius to Gemini is subjectively and esoterically related to our Earth. Thus, guaranteeing its soul development, the unfoldment of form as an expression of that soul. From the standpoint of our theme, the evolution of consciousness, it must never be forgotten, DK says, that the aim is to bring the solar angel, the son of mind, into the seat of power. And this task is preeminently entrusted to three great lives who function through Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. So let's now make full use of our garden by visualizing the flow of unconditional love or will to good emanating from the triangle, the avatar of synthesis, the spirit of peace, and the Lord Buddha, overshadowing the Christ at the center. Thus the Christ, with the fused energies of love and wisdom, with the aid of the avatar of synthesis and the Buddha, and under the influence of the spirit of peace and of equilibrium, can implement and direct the energies which will produce the coming new civilization. He will see, demonstrating before his eyes, the true resurrection, the emergence of mankind from the imprisoning cave of materialism. Superimpose the radiating triangle on another triangle consisting of the Christ, Master DK, and our soul group to form one blended triangle. Then superimpose these blended triangles on our group chakric triangle as we vitalize it. And that triangle is made up of our group crown chakra, our group ajna, and our group alta major. As we bring down and step down the energy of these beings right down to the physical plane. Then radiating, distributing the dispelling radiance via our group ajna right eye, left eye triangle. Place the blended triangle and impressing it over the three planetary centers, London, Geneva, and New York. Let us sound one Om, carrying the fiery love or will to good as we direct it via the 3 planetary centers to the heart of humanity. Let us say the healer's mantra aloud, saying it slowly and deliberately as we believe in the results. May the love of the one soul focused in this group radiate upon you, our fellow man, and permeate every part of your body, healing, soothing, strengthening, and dissipating all that hinders service and good health. May the light of Gemini and the Christ fill the hearts of all those who are touched by our garden. May it stimulate their aspiration, foster the spark of struggling life, and spur them on to love and establish right human relations. The time of the full moon and May and of June, DK says to us, it will be advisable to use both invocations, that is the first and the second, given in 1935 and 1940. And thus to blend and fuse into one united invocation the massed intent of humanity as a whole and the enlightened purpose of the disciples in of hierarchy. This fusion of the two groups, humanity and hierarchy, may then suffice to sound out such a potent call that life may be released on earth instead of a death, and the love of God play its active part in the reconstruction of world affairs. I would therefore ask all of you during the weeks prior to the full moon of May and that of June, and for 5 days thereafter, to seek to dwell ever at the center, to endeavor to blend the cold light of your personalities with the clear light of your soul, so as to work effectively for the 5 weeks of the desired period. If this can be successfully accomplished, 2 great revelations may then be speeded on their way. 1, a revelation of light and understanding to humanity as a whole, leading them to knowledge and enabling men to see the cause of the present catastrophe. and 2, a revelation of life, and of life more abundantly, as Christ promised when on earth. The revelation will give to the thinkers, idealists, true leaders and disciples working in the world today that spiritual energy which leads to right activity, sound leadership, and inspired and inspiring living. Such is the will of God for humanity, and such is the intent and purpose of Shambhala. So just like Christ does daily, standing under the great pine tree in his garden at sunset, with hands uplifted in blessing over all those who truly and earnestly seek to aspire, let's picture a great pine tree in our garden too. And under this pine tree, let's gather around the Christ, Master DK, and the healing ashrams, and say the 3 great invocations together. And let's intone the powerful invocations as a soul group, saying them with intensity of feeling, in unison with hierarchy on the inner planes, as we grasp their significance and believe that they embody the will of the planetary logos. Let the forces of light bring illumination to mankind. Let the spirit of peace be spread abroad. May men of goodwill everywhere meet in a spirit of cooperation. May forgiveness on the part of all men be the keynote at this time. Let power attend the efforts of the great ones. So let it be. And help us to do our part. Let the Lords of Liberation issue forth. Let them bring succor to the sons of men. Let the rider from the secret place come forth, and coming save. Come forth, O mighty one. Let the souls of men awaken to the light, and may this stand with massed intent. Let the fiat of the Lord go forth. The end of woe has come. Come forth, O mighty one. The hour of service of the saving force has now arrived. Let it be spread abroad, O mighty one. Let light and love and power and death fulfill the purpose of the coming one. The will to save is here. The love to carry forth the work is widely spread abroad. The active aid of all who know the truth is also here. Come forth, O mighty one, and blend these 3. Construct a great defending wall. The rule of evil now must end. And let us say the 3rd great invocation together. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of men. Let light descend on earth and sound a blue om. As you see that sound carrying light, from the point of love within the heart of God. Let love stream forth into the hearts of men. May Christ return to earth and sound a blue om and see that om carrying love to the heart of humanity. The center where the will of God is known, let purpose guide the little wills of men, the purpose which the masters know and serve. And sound a third blue om and see the Syrian cosmic love of Buddhi of will to good, carried on the wings of the om. From the center, which we call the race of men, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth. Sound a loud and invocative blue om. And now raise your clasp hands above the head and so let it be. And help us to do our part. Then bring them down to your forehead and let them rest gently on your heart. May the blessing of the Christ and of hierarchy rest upon all true servants, and may they stand tranquil in the midst of strife and radiate the will to good, unconditional love, silently and with great potency. And may the light of the garden of our souls be on the inner plane what the sun is to the gardens of the world, an illuminating and harmonious haven and a healing pool for many. Thank you, friends, for joining us today. And I will see all of you at the Gemini full moon in a few hours from now, in about 8 hours or so. Thank you, friends.